Never a doubt.
Never
A doubt. Never a doubt.
Never a doubt.
It's what the Sixers do. They make games close. They don't have to. But ultimately, they come out.
Don't come with that attitude.
I have to.
No.
I have to. I'm sorry. Welcome in. It is a live reaction. Clap your hands to the Sixers beating the Celtics tonight. We'll get into the particulars of it. We did a podcast this morning talking about how this was a litmus test game, and for until the last 2 minutes, it was absolutely perfect. Jack Fritz, Elliot Shore-Parks, Elliot. What's hitting you immediately as this game is now a final?
This team is better than the Celtics, and that was a statement game by the Sixers. I mean, look, we'll get into the specifics, but it was not a pretty game. Neither team played outstanding. Neither team shot the ball well. Maxey didn't shoot the ball well. Tatum and Brown didn't shoot the ball well. Embiid, played well, but they still won. And this team does not win that game last year. And I think what was so apparent watching the Sixers play tonight is their role players, and you've talked about this, are just different. Like, they're just different and better than they were last year. What really stood out to me about this game was last year it was the Celtics that made all those annoying hustle plays, always had their hand on the basketball, always poking their arm in, winning the hustle, the loose balls in the open court. This year it's the Sixers, like Covington, Patrick Beverley, my boy Batum. You can go down the line, like Oubre. They had all types of guys that were making hustle plays that were the difference in an ugly game. That this was a type of game the Celtics win if they have Marcus Smart, if they have Robert Williams, if they have Grant Williams. But they don't anymore. They basically have half-hearted Porzingis just throwing up threes most of that second half. And the Sixers were the better team. They were the more aggressive team. They were the team that won all the loose balls, like I said. And I'm just happy.
Good. I'm happy for you. So, all right. I feel a couple things off of that game.
Okay.
How I feel before the last 2 minutes is pretty much exactly how you feel. My main headline, again, before the ending, was it's almost like these two teams have completely reversed roles.
Yep.
And that's refreshing. It's like the Celtics kind of have they still have the stars, like Drew. I think that they will figure out how to use more and more. Derek White, who I needed 20 points from.
Here we go.
3 of 11. I had 4 threes and 20 points for it's okay. He did his job.
It's okay. It's not the important thing tonight.
It's not I don't want to focus on the not important things.
Yeah.
Tatum and Brown, we know who they have, but they just don't feel like they have those guys. The heart of the Celtics to me is gone. They have the talent. They have the top end talent. We know how good Tatum and Brown can be. But they're not Celtics. That's not the Celtics.
Yeah.
That is a softer team, and that's a team that if I was a Celtics fan watching them play the Sixers, I would be saying, "Oh, bleep." You know what I mean?
Bill Simmons tweeted that. He tweeted it was a lot easier to play the Sixers when they had someone that didn't want to play defense or break a sweat. And
let the record show. Yeah. One member of this podcast wanted that guy back.
Hey, hand up. I was wrong. I've said it. Hand up. I was wrong.
But the Sixers were the team that was mucking it up. They were the team that were just being annoying and in your face and have all these annoying length guys that are hard to. They had Tatum and Brown pretty much shook the entire game, which it just doesn't really happen for a majority of our lives.
Certainly didn't happen in the playoffs last year.
I could not imagine paying Jaylen Brown $300+ million.
No,
that sounds like a nightmare. He can't dribble, and I thought. There was a point in the game where Nick Nurse I felt was forcing Jaylen Brown to make decisions, and that was that's a good strategy against Jaylen Brown, but. There was shit. I had so much scar tissue watching the last 2 minutes of the game. I'm very happy. I'm happy to beat the Celtics, and I thought I'm not trying to let it ruin what I thought was a great night of basketball. But it was no, please don't. Please don't do this again.
It's funny. You say you have kind of scar tissue memory, and obviously that's from the Sixers. but it's probably also from the Eagles and the Cowboys a few days ago. Like the game was actually a lot like that, where it was close for a lot of it. The Eagles / Sixers got control around the third quarter, looked like they were going to run away with it. And then in the fourth quarter, obviously almost blow it. So yeah, that was obviously not great, but I really don't think that should overshadow the first, 3.5 quarters of that game. I just don't think the last 3 or 4 minutes is really what the story of the game was. It wasn't that the Sixers almost blew it. It wasn't that the Celtics came on late. It was, look, the Sixers probably took their foot off the gas a little early, but they were able to do that because they built a 15-point lead. This is a team that fell behind early. The Celtics started like 1 of 11 from 3. They had Drew Holiday on Embiid, and the Celtics still beat a lead. So I'm sitting there, and that's really kind of where my scar tissue came in, of going like, man, this team is no-showing. Embiid's not taking advantage of his matchup. The Celtics aren't shooting well. I had flashbacks of Game 6 with all those Melton missed threes. By the way, never want to see him shoot a 3 again against the Celtics. But it was early on where I had the memory of okay, this is not going well. But throughout the game, they made that go away, and it's because of what we talked about. And so by the end, although – look, when Brown made that 3 to make it a 3-point game, that was like when the Cowboys were on the 6-yard line for me. That was like, okay, maybe they're actually going to lose this game, but they didn't. And so ultimately, I think to kind of have your mood or have your takeaway of this game be dampened by those past few minutes, I think is kind of ignoring the larger picture here, which is the biggest issue the Sixers had last year. What everyone said, even the people that annoy me with their Sixers take said, was that the Sixers don't have heart. That was what the common criticism was after game 6 and 7. Don't have heart, can't finish the games. Tonight, they finished the game, and they had more heart than the exact team that everybody told me had the heart of a champion last year, and they outplayed them tonight.
So last thing I want to talk about with the final couple of possessions, because, again, I don't think it's the main story, but since we're on it, I do want to talk about it. It's a struggle getting Embiid the ball in those times, and even the shot that he hit, and it was a great shot. It was like a Kobe fadeaway.
Dirk. It was like Dirk.
It's like, wow. And it shows how special Embiid is. But still, that's a shot that I think the probability, if there was shot probability, is that one of your?
If you want to do soccer, you can do expected goals on that. You want to do?
Well, I was going to go with baseball, expected batting average.
Okay, we'll both go. I'll go with the more popular sport.
But like the expected make percentage on that shot, I don't think is super high. And it was like, wow, Embiid's a great player. And you give him credit because a great player made a great shot. But it was still a lot of like, we're getting Embiid the ball here. It's not the crisp kind of offense. They don't seem like they're running around a little bit with like a chicken with their head cut off.
They definitely seemed a bit out of it. I agree with you.
And the only thing that really bothered me about it is it felt dockish. Whereas, like, we're talking about Nick Nurse as an upgrade, and I think we saw that in some instances tonight. But when it came down to it, there was still that little bit where it's like a difference-making coach has them better prepared for that situation.
But like, I'll ask you this, like, honestly, but doesn't the fact that they didn't blow it, isn't that encouraging to you? Like, had they blown this game, we come on, we're going same old Sixers. Yeah. This is what happened. This is a problem with the center.
And I didn't want that. Yeah, and I didn't want that at all. So but there were just little things.
It was ugly for sure. Like, this is a team that is still learning to win in a way, and that's what you saw at the end.
Well, at least it's only year 8 of Embiid.
First year of Nurse.
Positivity.
Yes.
Okay. So outside of the last 2 minutes, and the rest of the game, the other main takeaway from tonight is that Tyrese Maxey's here, man.
Yeah, man.
He is. We have million claps, round of applause. Yes, the biggest
I like to
clap.
Keep it quiet for Walker clap you got going on. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
The biggest clap your hands, clap your hand. Should we do that? Like our bid is this player of the game gets the standing ovation. Like the round of applause.
Walker silent clap of the. That's good.
The biggest round of applause tonight goes to Tyrese Maxey. One of the things that I was looking for, and obviously you were too, and something that we needed to see was him looking aggressive, being aggressive, and just looking like one of the best players in the court against the Celtics. Dude, he passed that test with flying colors. What a night for Tyrese.
Dude, I thought you nailed it in the pregame pod when we were talking about what we were looking for, and you said, like, tonight's a night to see what Maxey can do. The Celtics are a team that all last year, going into the playoffs, we looked and said, they are engineered to kind of stop Tyrese Maxey. They have like Derek White, they had Marcus Smart, they have long perimeter players. And Maxey had a solid playoffs, but he was not like he was tonight. And I thought there was a key moment in the fourth quarter where really Maxey showed the difference between this year and last year. Embiid was on the bench. The Sixers were up 8. The Celtics cut it to 6. It's the Embiid's, the Sixers slow it down. This isn't like, Maxey running down the court and getting a layup. It's half court. He goes in, little floater, puts it back up to 8. The Celtics go back the other end. They get a basket. Next possession, Maxey, another basket in the half court. Like, ultimately, we can talk about Maxey's size and all these things. What they need is somebody that when those moments come, that he can step up and make baskets in the half court. Like, not to bring up the name everyone hates, including me now, but that was the hope of Harden, is that Harden would be a good isolation perimeter scorer. And he was that for times, but obviously he was not in game 6 and 7. But tonight, with Embiid on the bench and the game slipping away, Maxey stepped up and got baskets in the half court. And that's exactly what you wanted to see tonight. He did not shoot the ball well. In a way, it's almost encouraging he didn't shoot the ball well, because early on, especially, he had 2 points in the first quarter, came alive in the second, but he wasn't great from 3 tonight. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't think he ended up shooting that well.
I believe he was 3 of 11.
That sounds like someone that had a bet going on that. But
well,
yes,
he was matching Derek White, who again could not
costing you money left and right.
Well, did you see? All right, but it's a quick diversion from Tyrese Maxey.
Go ahead,
Derek White had one hit the front of the rim up, and then I don't get the triple doink for a max cash. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say it only goes against the Sixers when you're not betting on them. But
it's just crushing. 3 of 11 from 3, 11 of 27 overall. It didn't feel like that though. Like dude,
it didn't feel like he took that many shots. There was a point early on, it was probably in the third quarter, where I was thinking like he has to be more aggressive. The only free throw he had came on the technical foul. I don't think he ended up shooting any free throws outside of that. Yeah, 0 for 1 from the free throw line. And that's not great, but 28 shots. And again, like that he kept shooting. I think when you're a young player and you're developing to being the guy, the hardest thing to do is to keep going and keep believing in yourself and to keep thinking the team wants you to shoot. And that's what you saw tonight with Maxey, is in a big game, again, statement game, cements a special season. In a big game, Maxey was the guy that kept going and going. And late, it paid off because he didn't back off. He stayed aggressive. It's exactly what Nick Nurse said at the podium a few days ago. And so even though he didn't shoot well when no one shot the ball well, he still made the plays late. So I thought if the question for tonight was, can Maxey be a guy in the playoffs? For tonight, that answer was absolutely yes.
Well, I think what we're seeing with Maxey is a guy who is, I don't think his natural DNA is be aggressive, go score, fill it up, like alpha in a way.
I agree with that.
And I think what we're doing, like Nick Nurse is just doing everything he can to get it out of him. And the fact that he did shoot it 27 times, the fact that he looked fearless out there, the fact that like one of my big takeaways from the game was, I love all the role players they have, and I think that stuff is important, but the only guys who can really create their own shot are him and Oubre, outside of Embiid, obviously.
Yeah.
And
on
it's
the perimeter, at least. Yeah.
Like they could really use one more. Like I know I could use a bucket boy. I need.
Everyone could always use a bucket boy. Everyone could always use a bucket boy.
I need a bucket boy, but like he understood that like no one else, like that is not a game where you want like Covington dribbling too much, Batum dribbling too much, like any of these guys dribbling and trying to create offense for themselves. That's a game where you have to create offense for yourself. And the role players are great when you're playing against the Wizards and you're playing against, some of these kind of, bottom, if they're past the top 5 in the conference, whatever, like teams that you should beat up on. It's great to have those guys. They matter. And I think in the playoffs, having a ton of length and a ton of defenders is important, and that matters. But you do need guys that can go get buckets. And Maxey just never shied away from, my role is I have to go score. And that run he went on with him beat off the court, it was like bang, floater, like 3-point made. Like the free throw thing doesn't totally bother me because I do think he was being aggressive. And the way that he was scoring tonight was more floaters rather than let me go up and like create contact. And he just is continuing to show that he can just beat you in multiple ways. And it's for a game in which Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are on the court. I mean, Maxey looked like he belonged.
Yeah, he looked like the best player.
Huge development for this team.
100%. And to your point about like Maxey going on that run, Embiid had 25 points tonight. That Embiid did not play poorly. Like, I thought he made big shots late. Early on, he kind of kept the team afloat when things weren't going well. I want to talk about the decision to have Drew Holiday cover him. But if you would have told me before the game that he only had 25 points or whatever it was, I probably thought that they would have lost. Like, normally for this team to win, Embiid has to have, especially against the great teams, 35 points, like a bunch of blocks, like rebounds, all those things. But he was able to play like just a nice, good / great game and not be special and have them still win because Maxey was there, because Tobias had 17 points. Oubre had 14 points. Paul Reed came off the bench and scored 8. Like, you just saw the depth of this team tonight is so much better than it was in past years. And we've talked a lot about how it makes them better, and it does. You saw that tonight. But what you also saw is having Maxey and having these other guys, the pressure is off Embiid. Like, Embiid kind of just, I don't want to say floated through the game because that has a bad connotation, but he didn't have to like demand a ball or like shoot a bunch. You said earlier today, you didn't want to see him get like, throw the ball all around, get frustrated. He didn't have to do that because other players were making plays. So I think that the large scale takeaway from this is Maxey was able to make Embiid's life easier, but this whole roster makes Embiid's life easier. And that's why at the end of games, he's able to have the energy to make that shot. I did have one more Maxey point. I don't know if you wanted to move on, but the biggest fear for Maxey though is they're up 3, last Sixers possession. They pass it to Embiid. It goes back to Maxey. Like, Embiid's not an option there. And Jaylen Brown blocks him. I know Jaylen Brown's a good perimeter defender. I know he's a long perimeter defender, but that's the worry right there. It's like Maxey is still, he can still be small at times. Like he is. He is not a big 6'7" wing guy. And to have his shot block there, I thought was kind of like the worst fear you want to see for Maxey in that spot.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a 6'7" wing. I mean, that's not the guy he is. And it's always that's why he's more of a, floater guy than take it to the rim, because obviously he can get blocked. Yeah. Embiid's night was interesting because even though he only finished with 4 assists, I felt like he was much more like a much more willing passer. I didn't feel like the ball stuck to Embiid, which I feel like in a lot of big games when he's like, I got to be the guy. I think the biggest takeaway, from a game like that is for years, I feel like the Sixers never really felt like any of their pieces or any of the guys playing really knew what they were supposed to do.
Shout out to the head coach.
Yes, but like it feels like they finally all kind of get it. Like Embiid, you're the star. You don't have to go be the 50-point guy. Move the ball around. Don't get it bogged down. Whatever. Still score when you need to. All that stuff. Like, he's the star. We get it. Maxey, his role is I got to fill it up so that they can't just focus on Embiid and they become a one-dimensional offense. Tobias Harris, like, or maybe it's contract year Toby.
Well, it certainly looked like it tonight.
It could be contract year Toby. He is. They must have just told him very simply, you have to be aggressive, or else teams are, we're going to be that much easier to stop. And he was aggressive tonight. He didn't shoot a ton of bad threes. He ended up 1 of 4, but they were all in rhythm. He even hit a kind of big one late.
I know, late. Yes, I can't believe it went in. He missed a few easy ones. Not easy because they're threes, but he missed a few from the side. But yeah, he hit the big one late, which I was shocked that went in.
And he was aggressive, and he never let his foot off the gas, and that's a really important development for this team as well. So your 3 guys, it feels like they kind of have their roles. Melton's role is to hit the open threes. Did not
Melton
accomplish.
Is going to kill me. Like, he has to come out of the starting lineup. I like, especially with the way Batum played tonight. Like, Batum should be the starter. He's a better shooter. He's, I think, a better defender, at least way longer. Like, I know Melton can be a decent perimeter defender, but I think Melton's better off the bench, and he's not making these threes. And I know I'm conflating this game with the Celtics loss from last year, but in the games that have really mattered, he's not shot the ball well. So I don't want him on the court in those final minutes of these big games, which is ultimately where the season is leading up to. So just make the change now. Like, I would start Batum.
So who's your two guard? Oubre?
Yeah, I would go Oubre. I'd go Maxey, Oubre, Batum, Toby, and Embiid.
Yeah, so
or Covington. I would pick Batum, but I think Melton has to come out of the starting lineup.
I'm keeping him there. My bigger Melton takeaway was the only reason I'm keeping there is I do think he's a good guard defender. And I do trust him to at least initiate the offense. Like I think he can be a ball handler, which I don't think.
He's certainly a willing shooter. He doesn't make it, but he's certainly.
Well, he has. I mean, he does have to. Like that's his role. He has to be able to make those shots. Yeah. He's not right now. So he initiates the offense, and he is a good defender. Where it's like I don't think Oubre can be a second ball handler when Maxey is pass the ball. So I would keep Melton there. The bigger Melton point for me is like the role players are good, the depth is good. That's the spot. I mean, like if you're looking for the next star,
that's the one to take away. Yeah,
like if you can add someone to that spot to where they can be a secondary ball handler, they can shoot a three. That's for some reason.
You're starting to describe Zach LaVine. But
which is I'm trying my best not to.
I know you are, but I can see it in your face. You're like you're starting to, and you're trying to think of what to say. But someone that can pass, how about that?
Yeah. Someone can pass and defend and whatever. But for some reason, again, Melton throws sliders at the it has cutter action, which I don't understand how that's possible because it's it should be kind of a straight shot. But that's the spot. Like if Can the Sixers be a true championship contending team? Can they be a team that it can be in the finals and win the finals if DeAnthony Melton is the two guard? If he's off the bench,
I think it depends on Maxey.
Yeah, right, but if he's off the bench, great. You feel great. But he's like DeAnthony Melton as your starting shooting guard for a team that has title aspirations. I don't think that adds up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he is a starter on a championship type team, but the Sixers just beat a team everybody thinks is a championship. Granted, it didn't play it was not a good Celtics night.
It is game 8. It's game 8. Okay.
I get that. I'm just saying. I get that, but
they beat the Celtics last year and Embiid scored 52, and they still lost in a game set. So let's go.
I get your point. I'm just saying that I think they can compete for a title as currently constructed. If there was one,
of course they can. Of course they can.
If there was one spot to upgrade, it would be the Melton spot. I 100% agree with you on that. I know he shot decent last year, but he doesn't shoot it consistent enough for me. I don't trust the big spots. And that's what's also interesting is you're starting to trust a lot of these players in big spots to make the shot. And Melton is simply not one of them. So yeah, I would agree. Melton would be the one I would upgrade.
It's obvious. I mean, this season and this team is in too good of a spot, I think, and that's why we talked about, listening to Maury's comments on the Ricky about how we both felt like he's going to make a trade in season. Well, I think this is why, because how they played tonight was really awesome. It was fun. We're not going to talk about the last 2 minutes anymore.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Didn't matter. But that Melton spot is just so massive. And if he comes off the bench, I just think this whole thing makes a lot more sense. We'll see what they can do. I don't know.
We got time. And the good news is they're in first place in the East, so they're not.
Yep, and they won the tiebreaker tonight. So
exactly. They're up 1-0 in the tiebreaker. That's a good point. Happy you brought that up. Yeah,
you're welcome. Yeah, the one.
They're a game and a half up on the Celtics.
Did they lock in the 1 seed tonight? You think?
Look, they play the Celtics again next Wednesday. Now that game has monumental things now because if you win the first game, you guarantee the tiebreaker.
Biggest game of Maxey's career is the biggest game.
Potentially, it's gonna. It's certainly up there, probably top 5, considering his first few years he didn't really have much pressure.
Yeah, you can make that case.
I will next Wednesday.
All right, so
I have Embiid thoughts. If that's what.
Well, yeah, sure. Let's get to the Embiid thoughts.
Okay, the Celtics. If we're just gonna talk from if you ignore the results of this game and just look at how these two teams played in the playoffs, how it could go. They have nobody for Embiid. Nobody. Porzingis is too small for him. Porzingis is not a good rebounder. I think that Horford has had Embiid's number at times, but Horford only really has Embiid's number when Embiid is kind of being mopey Embiid. I think when Embiid is playing his game, Horford cannot handle him. You saw that tonight. And they just don't have any big men. The matchup is not there for them. I think the Robert Williams loss really showed tonight. They didn't have anybody to kind of throw at Embiid. And in a playoff series, in the first half of this game, I was thinking, I don't know how I'd feel about this team in the playoffs. But now that the game's over and the second half happened and Maxey played and all those things, Like the Celtics have a major matchup problem with Embiid. Like the Sixers going into this game, I thought last year had a ton of matchup issues. Harden and Maxey on the perimeter. Maxey's undersized. Harden had lost a step. Embiid, they had a lot of big men to throw at him. They had a coach that did creative things. Now the Sixers have the matchup advantage with Embiid on the court. They have the coaching matchup on the sideline. And Maxey's much quicker on the perimeter. Like, I think all the matchup issues you saw against the Celtics last year are gone. And the main one with Embiid is the biggest deal. Like, they have nobody for him on the glass.
Yeah, I kept watching the Celtics tonight. And, like, Porzingis he just does nothing for me. Like, I know he can make a three, and it's like, oh my God, a unicorn. Like, he's fine. But I think
he's a loser, by the way, too.
I've never.
I'm 100% happy with him being the player that touched the ball a ton for the Celtics. In the playoffs, I am happy every time he has it, happy every time he shoots. Like, he felt like the number one option on the team tonight.
He did.
For a lot yeah.
It felt like they were like, you know what we got to do? Get the ball to Porzingis.
Yeah, KP.
You have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and whatever. The Porzingis thing, I didn't like it in the moment. If I was a Celtics fan, I would have been like, that's obviously a bad decision. The Embiid thing is massively important. Horford, like, eventually he's got to struggle.
Yeah, he's got to lose a step or two.
Yeah, or you would think. But it's just, who are they going to on the bench? Like, Sam Hauser was fine. Like, hit a couple threes. That's cute. Like, again, Peyton Pritchard. Like, there's just, like, Patrick Beverly in a postseason series is gonna be 94 feet against Peyton Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard only exists on the Celtics. There's no other team Peyton Pritchard.
It's so annoying.
Well, here's a good bench stat for you. So every player on the Sixers bench, Beverly was +4, Covington was +6, Batum was +7. The Celtics bench, every single player was in the minus, and Al Horford was -23. Like, that's kind of where this game shifted, is when subs had to start being made.
Yeah. Well, and again, like we talked about in the open, I mean, when it always felt like the Celtics were the team that had the 8th and 9th guy that would stifle the Sixers bench, that they would never be able to get anything done. One of the biggest changes tonight was that, like, the Sixers bench was actually an advantage over a Celtics
big advantage,
team.
A big one.
A massive advantage, which is something we've never been able to say in our entire existence, Elliot, I don't believe.
Yes.
Like, not even just the Celtics, but like the Bucks and all those teams. Like, they have so many different guys. And the Pat Bev little run, like, that unit in the third quarter was freaking awesome. And, like, he hit that little floater and then, like, started, like, getting the crowd into it. I was like, what is it, 2001 all over again? I mean, it really did. It had that feel to it. It was like, wow, these you know what I said to myself? And I think a lot of people thought at the same time, these are our guys.
Oh, there it is. There it is. The team that represents the city better than any other team.
They do. I don't care that it's 8 games. Like, I don't care. They are a Philadelphia team. They are 100% a Philadelphia team. And we've been annoyed by it. The second round exit stuff, wake me up when they're out of the second. Like, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what we wanted. Just a team that looked like they cared and they liked us. And they got a standing ovation, like they got the crowd all the way back in. Remember we talked about there was no freaking juice in the first home game, and like none of the MVP chance started with Embiid till like the fourth quarter, even though he was like kind of going off. Like, it took 8 games of them looking like they gave a crap and had heart for this city to buy in. And if you're not watching, I don't know how you don't feel that.
Well, it's like we said on the first pod, we want people to buy back in because it's just more fun when everyone is on the Sixers, just like with any other team. But the other thing I think that stood out to me tonight is, so obviously with the job we have, we're on the air all day, doing hits, all those things. I heard a lot today of it's only game 8. It's only game 8, Elliot. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's blah, 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 blah. Phillies fans have had their moments over the last year, the win over the Braves and all those things. Eagles fans have had their moments. Sixers fans have not had many moments that you could genuinely sit down after the game and go that was awesome. I believed in the team last year, but a lot of people didn't. And I know there's still some skeptics. And I know it's game 8, but like, how could you not watch that game tonight if you're a Sixers fan and feel like this is a moment I've been waiting for? And like, that's really what kind of it's all about. Like, it's true. You can laugh and like, but it's true. Like, the Sixers fans have been waiting for something where it was like, you can end a game and feel like you really believe. And Phillies fans have had it. Eagles fans have it. I don't know if Flyers fans have had it. I hope they do. But I know, go Keith Jones on the job. But I know Sixers fans haven't really had it. And to what you're saying about this is a team that you feel represents the city and a team that like does all the things we've been waiting to do. Like, yeah. Like, and so for Sixers fans tonight, I know they almost blew it, but when that final horn end and Clap Your Hands came on and then Clap Your Hands pod came on, like, that's an awesome moment for fans. I think that the people that got like bullied online about like, why would you believe in the Sixers and it's only game 8, blah, blah, like they deserve that moment. Like that moment was one that they have deserved.
One person who does not deserve it, and I did not appreciate the tweets tonight, James Seltzer.
Yeah, we know. Not allowed to enjoy it. He said he's not enjoying it till the playoffs. Not allowed to enjoy it until the playoffs.
And I know we both know Seltzer. As soon as everyone's on board, bang, Seltzer's right at the front of the line. So
I'll be monitoring closely what he says on the morning show tomorrow. Trust me. How ironic! Also, tomorrow's the one day I'm not on WIP. Just wait till I'm on your show, Fred. Yeah, who would have thought?
Well, I hope
big NBA keeping me off.
Frankly, I hope that every Clap Your Hands listener to my on Thursday morning show, because I think if we had our first enemy of the podcast, it's James Seltzer.
It might be. He's announced you almost as an enemy of Go Birds by calling you John. So I think we have a thing going here.
So here's my because I don't really understand that bit. Why is he calling me John?
I'm not 100% sure either. I think so. I think Tom from Abington called you that because as a way to disrespect your Cowboys take, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So now,
that's where it's coming from. Yeah.
So I guess I'll start calling him Jamie.
Yeah, that's good. Jamie, or Jimmy. I think Jamie's better.
Jamie's way better.
Yeah, Jamie's way better.
So I would like everyone to monitor Seltzer. He is not allowed to say anything positive about the Sixers.
Getting his mentions.
Yeah, he won't see them because he
won't see them. He says he won't see them, but
he says that.
He responds to some of these. Yeah, I see him respond.
He's on Fraud Watch. He's on Fraud Watch. So first enemy of the podcast.
There we go.
Is James Seltzer, because I'm sick and tired of his nonsense. And
well, let me ask you this though, in all seriousness, because you'll be on tomorrow from 2 to 6 for your radio show, and then also 6 to 7 for your other one.
6 to 7:30, Riding with the King from 6 to 7. Mr.
Nice.
Positivity
I'm sure
on the Sixers.
I'm sure Howard Eskin's fired up for this one. What do you think the reaction tomorrow is going to be?
I think it's going to be they were same old Sixers the last 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
I know. No,
I might come in and just sit in the studio. I just come sit in. Yeah.
I think that's what it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like, oh yeah, but they almost gave it away at the end. Let's disregard the first.
But they didn't.
40s.
It's the same thing as a stupid reaction to the Cowboys game. Like, they didn't blow it. They didn't lose the game. They did not lose the game. If anyone's checked the final box score, the Sixers won the game tonight. So people calling tomorrow like they almost blew, blah, blah, blah. That's not what happened. The Sixers won the game, the majority of the game, and in the final minutes, the Celtics made a run. Like, that is not the story of this game, is that they almost blew it.
Well, I feel like I have to get this out there because if anyone listened to me from 6 to 7 tonight, I did a whole bit about how you're not allowed to call in tonight and say
I'm not.
No, not you. Okay. I did it about how if you call in tonight and tell me the Eagles are 8-1, so who cares how they're playing? A win's a win.
Mm-hmm.
You're buzzed and you're off the air.
I like it.
Like I can't take it anymore. Please tell me something that actually means something. A win's a win does not count for the Eagles, in my opinion. A win's a win counts for the Sixers. So that's my official position. That's my official position on if I'm being fraudulent about ripping win to win for the Eagles and not ripping a win to win for the Sixers.
Leading from the front. I like that.
Getting out in front of things is what I am.
Well, you need to monitor tomorrow. People calling in and be like, they almost blew it. Like, I need you on the front lines, like I would be. If they did not almost blow it, they won. That is what happened. It'll go down as a win in the column.
while almost blowing it. All right, Elliot.
While winning.
All right, Elliot. Let's give a little bit of final thoughts here. Put a bow on Sixers Celtics in the biggest game of the season, and one that determined the 1 seed in the East tonight.
Game and a half up. I think for me, the biggest takeaway from this is absolutely how different the roster is from last year. We've talked about it, but to put a bow on it, like if you are listening to this pod and you want to know why to believe in the Sixers, they're almost a completely different team from last year. They play differently. They attack the basketball differently. I think Nick Nurse is a major difference. And they're a team that has heart. I think last year, while I thought they had a lot of talent and they had comebacks, which were impressive, they never played like that. And so while a win tonight was important, I'm almost happy they won it without Embiid scoring 50 points and him just carrying them. They won how you win in the playoffs, which is lots of role players and then your big players, Embiid and Maxey, making enough plays. So I thought it was not only a win, it was a very encouraging style of win to win ugly against a team that's been known for winning ugly.
Yeah. And being kind of Celtics-ish against the Celtics was a very nice change up. It was a really good night, and I hope that people do not just focus on the last 2 minutes.
Don't let them.
I will not let him. A couple of final things that I had here real quick to go over. It was hard not to get emotional at the Robert Covington 3 tonight.
Oh, so good. It was so good.
And he was playing late into the fourth quarter against the Celtics. I mean, if that's not what movies are made about, I'm not sure what is. So
I mean, look, they were always going to win a title with Covington back on the team.
Oh, dude, he's the Foles. He's the Foles of the 2020s.
It's a good point, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Foles, Rocco.
Yeah.
Phil's bring back Hector Neris. It's all just perfect. It is all just perfect. And it was.
Wait, did they really bring back Hector Neris?
No, I mean, I want them to, but.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. I thought maybe
he's a free agent. He's a free agent.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I thought I nailed that one.
You did. And please find an upgrade for the D'Anthony Melton spot ASAP. And get me one more bucket boy. Elliot,
and no more Furk in the first quarter.
How about again? Ever? Just no more.
Especially not in the first quarter.
I feel like the Furk thing is trying to have another bucket boy on the court.
Yes,
but he's not. He's not a bucket boy.
Well, when he was playing, I was thinking like we were talking about Nurse, like he's going to try so many things, and there's going to be these players, and look, and then he's doing it, and I'm like, whoa, maybe just play the good players, and the guys it's like just play Terquavion Smith, and there's your bucket boy. Play Terquavion Smith over Furk.
Can't dribble.
Don't care, he can shoot.
Well, but like they need like Oubre and Maxey, like they have a bunch of long wings, they have a bunch of athletic wings, they're tough and whatever. Mm-hmm. Give me one guy who can fill it up. Just one more.
Agreed.
And this team can win a title. Great night. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, at one point. Probably have another win.
Listen, we want to talk Sixers basketball. We will talk Sixers basketball.
Yes, for the third pod in 24 hours. We are clearly excited about this team.
Excited about it. It's all right. It's a good time. For Elliot Shore Parks or Jack Fritz, it's been another great edition of Clap Your Hands.